We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to send this link to this person, then we'll get started. Got a couple of things I'm going to show off during this, and then we'll be able to wrap it up. It should maybe take an hour. I don't know. We're going to decipher some information and play all those usual games. Yeah, Beast, I'm really not in that great of a mood as a result of. Well, again, I'll explain it soon. Let me just send this person this link. They claim they're going to show up for this, but I don't think so. All right. So on Monday, there was a user who showed up at a stream of mine. They proceeded to write a bunch of comments after I expressed a position, and by the end of it, they became the third subscriber I've had announce in a dramatic fashion that they were unsubscribing. Now, before I further elaborate on what they did, I'm going to speak about the history of the past two users who've done this. Am I muted? Let me wait a second. I gotta make sure I'm not my thing isn't messing up. Give me a split second. Hey, can you hear me? I just want to make sure. All right, good. Yeah, because we don't need any technical issues here. So the first person was back in I think May or June of last year, midway through last year, and they were one of the romance boys, the people who show up for the romance stuff and then completely ignore all the rest of my content. Um, they were on a stream, which if I can remember its name, it's something along the lines of "She's Not Coming," which was me talking about how a lot of these chicks, we're told will show up once you just wait patiently, or this eventually comes to all of us. That same mumbo jumbo. A lot of the people who like to believe in this romance stuff still being worth waiting for like to espouse. And this person sits here. They write a bunch of comments trying to argue against points I'm making. I ignore them for a majority. I think they wrote comments for about 50 minutes, and I just kept ignoring them. And eventually, I addressed them. I say, "Hey, you're not changing my mind. What's the point of this?" Um, they proceed to insult me. Announced a few days later they're unsubbing, whatever. Then there was another person. So I did a stream, I think the week before last, and it was called "It Can Only Get Worse Too," and it was a wide-ranging topic type stream where I speak about some kind of gradual disillusion, just a variety of things. But I started off by talking about a shampoo bottle that had been thrown out by another person who lived with me, and how this was like so ridiculous because they tried to claim, "Oh, I thought it was no good," but the bottle was transparent, so you could look inside and see that it still had its continents within, making it a lot crazier that they would even think that it made sense to do that. Um, this person, different person, comments on the video, says, "Unsubscribe. You had great content, but complaining about this shows I owe some, diatribe." But I look at their username and I can't recognize them. I've literally have no memory of ever seeing them before. So I go to my comment tab within my YouTube studio, and I just scroll and scroll and scroll down, trying to figure out where, who the hell is this? Because it's someone I've never seen before, or at least if I have seen, I have no memory of seeing. To make a long story short, they left one comment ever on any of my stuff 2 months ago. So this person who comments, if we're being generous, every sixth of a year, had to announce to me that he was leaving as if I was missing something. And I said before, a lot of people that are sub to me don't comment on videos, but they'll still decide to leave comments in the on a stream. He didn't even do that. He left one comment and then disappeared, and then make another one announcing that he is departing, as if anyone would be missing something by not having someone who literally doesn't engage with your content whatsoever not be there anymore. So I go to talking about this poll in Iowa where Buddha trash was rising and whatnot. And a user who will remain nameless, because as I've said before, I exercise not giving these people any kind of notability, in the sense that I'm not going to say your name, because I generally and genuinely prefer not to have conflicts or beefs with individuals over stuff that really is not of any significance. It's just what was done here was so unique and so strange that I feel a need to address it. But on Monday, I'm doing this stream. This person comes in here, and at the start of it, they say, I really enjoy your stuff. I've seen them now for about eight different streams. They've been a regular or someone that shows up here and there since the earlier part of last month. Um, Out of nowhere, they mention LBJ, like literally with no kind of provocation from me. And I make a comment about saying, I like this person. Now, I assume when such a thing like that happens, the person makes a little comment. You don't agree, let it go because it's not the main topic that's being discussed. This person proceeded to write not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not 10, but 15 different messages trying to argue with me over Johnson's record. It was literally a text example of. So there's I've heard a form of PTSD where you get so incensed by what you've just seen or experienced that you start to visualize something that's not there. I would have been convinced from all of the stuff that this person wrote that they had started to see LBJ sitting in my seat, because it was almost as if I was being appointed his posthumous person to to defend his record. So they write all this stuff. I tell them I'm not going to argue with you, just discuss what is currently being discussed. They decide to run off, announce that they can't take me seriously anymore. And I go, okay, whatever. So if anyone has noticed, there's been a user by the name of Boa who has been showing up in my comment section damn near every day for the last few days. And when these people leave, again, my policy is I don't want to talk to them. I don't want to interact with them, whatever. But she decides to send me a message saying, go to his, because he has his like. But by the way, just a pro tip for anyone on YouTube: don't let your liked videos be public, because people really should not be able to see what you thumb up. That, like, the option to have it private is there for a reason. But anyway, she goes and looks up his like videos. She points out, because I remember the stream he first showed up on it was in September, early September. And she says, can you notice what I'm pointing out? I said, no, this guy doesn't matter anymore. He's off of here. So he's on his own path. She points out the fact that despite him showing up for 8, 9, 10 different streams, not a single time after the first stream that he left comments on did he click the like button. A simple, so rudimentary, basic thing that any person could do, just literally clicking a button, was so difficult for on his end. But I said before I wasn't going to address the stuff that was written. I kind of feel like doing it now because it's not really, my thing is, if it's a topic that I feel is worth discussing and breaking down, I don't have a problem with speaking on it. I have a problem when I stream about one topic and somebody comes on there and tries to shoehorn their agenda or whatever their position is on me. I had a person who just a few months ago, I'm streaming about Iran. He comes on here asking about some chicks. I go and look in my email, because he's another one of these people who has his subscribed channel public. He's been subscribed for a year, hasn't left a single comment up until now. But let's look at some of this stuff. So he claimed that, because I said, my thing with Johnson is I don't like Vietnam, and he wasn't on international issues, but he was someone that I think had a very huge effect on social policy, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, Head Start, the Jobs Corps. Just there's a lot of stuff there that I like. Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act. And when I say something like that, right, I expect for the person to go, okay, I don't agree that supersedes what I dislike about him, but because it's not what's being discussed, I accept it. You accept my position. We proceed to discuss the thing that is currently being talked about. Um, Case in point, and I've been accused in the past of being this person who doesn't allow for any dissenting opinion ever. You've seen Envoy before. He's a mod on my channel. He's someone that's been on here for a year. There was a stream, I think maybe last year, where I had played a clip of Ben Shapiro, and he had said, "Oh, I don't like Shapiro." He had said he liked Shapiro. I had mentioned I didn't, and I explained to him, I think he's correct about a lot of the, just some of the stereotypical things that Democrats do and whatnot. But when he gets up there and starts supporting these various overseas conflicts, it's harder for me to take him seriously, because I just don't get how you would sit here and be very correct about a lot of the intolerance that people are demonstrating, even though they're supposed to be tolerant, like, all these mass protests and whatnot. But then, you have these conflicts that go on from one party to the other, and you bootlick for it when it's under the Republicans. So I told him, but my point here is I get why you like him. I don't for this particular reason. When that happened, Envoy didn't start writing 14 Spurg messages. He just said, all right. And we proceeded to talk about what was being discussed. Splendora Gaming, something more superficial. He thinks AOC is ugly. I think AOC is hot, or at least, nice to look at. But when we had that disagreement, he didn't write a paragraph or several different sentences describing all the different parts of her rather, that he didn't like. We just said whatever. Again, I'm not here to debate any of these people. I've been called ugly like a million times online at this point, so appearance really is not a thing that I'm going to discuss anymore. But look, going back to this person, when he's writing his 15 messages, one of them is one where he cites the Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam, these different conflicts, right? And this is what I said about how rhetoric doesn't matter. I just get through telling this guy Johnson was not good on international issues. And then the first thing you go to is writing a bunch of stuff that has to do with international issues that you didn't like about him. So what I just said literally went right through your ear, completely ignored. Okay. But again, these are the people who want me. And remember, these people want me to read what they have to write. They want me to respond to it. They want me to answer what they say. But then when you say something to them, it's like they don't hear it. They momentarily go deaf. So at another point, and this was the worst one. If you see what I always try to do is when I say something, I try to be able to cite it. Give an example of where you can look this information up yourself. Now he claims that Johnson beat up a mule or killed a mule when he was a teenager. Before I got rid of him, I took that, wrote it the exact way. So I copy and pasted what he wrote into Google because I was trying to see if this was actually something that could be corroborated. Okay, I don't know what you guys are even talking about. And I couldn't find a single book or source that described this. But again, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that yes, Johnson beat up a mule when he was a teenager. Now we've spoken negatively about Trump on here. I've spoken negatively about Obama. But here's the thing: I've never, for example, I don't talk about Trump's cheating on his 3 wives ever because it has nothing to do with anything having to do with him being in office. Even if he was screwing 3 or 5 different chicks now, it still would have nothing to do with his policies. It's unrelated. So it's kind of weird to bring that up while you're trying to convince me of how this person as president was a horrible individual. Well, CK, this was not cited by anywhere. He just claimed that in my chat. I tried to look through multiple different books and I couldn't find it. It literally just was nowhere to be seen. So it's a dubious claim at best and a lie at worst. But I want to go back to this Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam thing, because see, I'm not stupid, contrary to what some people believe. So with the Gulf of Tonkin, there were 2 senators, and I've made a point of how we have this thing where people they say they care so much about this stuff, and then when they actually execute what they claim, it's not the case. There are two senators. Remember, there's 100. So there were two of them at that time who voted against that resolution, which authorized going. Oh, that can be discussed later on, but it's something that he doesn't like, which is why he brought it up. It's Ernest Gruning from Alaska and Wayne Morris from Oregon. Now, this guy has a channel with loads and loads and loads of videos. Not a single video celebrating Ernest Gruning. And I'll give him credit. He has one video with Wayne Morris in it, not with his name, but, like a little clip of him speaking. My point is, you're not going to so completely ignore the men who vote the way you like and are supposedly, on the side of being righteous and correct and great, and then expect me to believe that you give a damn. And, we're going to address his most egregious claims soon. But somebody might say to yourself, you're being very harsh and mean. And I'm like, he literally morphed into a troll in the span of 40 minutes. At one point, he said, after writing all of his different stuff about Johnson, how do you feel about your great LBJ now? Huh, 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 huh. He didn't put huh over and over, but he did say, your great LBJ. Now, really ask yourself, if you're trying to have an objective conversation with someone that you respect or that you actually want to convey, let's say you don't actually respect them, but you want them to think that you respect them so that they answer your question. Why the hell would you say you're great, whoever? If I go up to an Obama supporter and I start listing all of the different things I don't like about Obama because they asked me or because I feel like it, and I actually want to hear them, what their response is to this stuff, I'm not going to say, how do you feel about your great Obama? Huh, 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 huh. Yeah, he morphed into a generic random person trying to screw with me in the comment section in rapid succession. But let's go to the most egregious claim because it's about time to discuss it. Yeah. He claims that Johnson's welfare policies are why black kids don't have dads. I'm gonna now go into, so I identify as a liberal progressive, and I've tried to get along with libertarians and Republicans. And one of the things I do is with them, I usually, if I speak to one through text or in some call, only talk about international issues, because when they get to domestic stuff, I'm just gonna say it, they're hypocrites. And why are they? So, and I know B still is of this same belief system. A lot of Democrats, liberals, progressives, just anyone on the left spectrum will usually call for gun control after there's a mass shooting. And the argument by conservatives and libertarians will be that people don't, the guns don't kill people, people kill people. The people who are so mentally demented are the reason why these shootings happen. And I do agree that it's a complicated issue and that guns, in some cases, we got some elderly person that they have a weapon, they can protect themselves. I'm not disagreeing with that at all. But remember, their argument is that the tool is not the issue. It's the people who take the tool and they misuse it to go and harm, others around them. But when you mention welfare, right? In this case, oh no, the evil welfare has caused these people to do this. It's like, so how do you so easily blame the individual for the gun stuff, but then for the welfare stuff, oh no, the people, they're screwed. Because I've always tried to make this point. If someone actually cares about another person, there's no amount of money that's going to cause you to abandon them. If I'm some, let's say I'm a billionaire, right? And I say, music fiend, I'll give you $1 million. You just can never see any members of your family again. Would you take it? I know I wouldn't. It's a very simple process, but I'm gonna break down this. Also, by the way, because I just want to make this point known as well. Medicare is a very popular program. It's basically single payer for people that are over the age of 65. You get my point, music fiend. You're not going to abandon someone that you care about just because someone slaps some dollars in your way. But Medicare is a very popular program. People like it. I don't know how old this person is that is talking about the evils of the welfare state. But Medicare falls under that same level of a federal assistance, social safety net. So I have to really ask, when this person gets to be 65 and he's eligible for Medicare, is he going to say, I don't need that evil Johnson welfare coming my way? I'm going to get my own private insurance. Or is he going to say, yes, thank you, this is something I've worked for. I'm going to have the best health insurance in the US? You know it's going to be the latter, because these people are hypocrites. They sit here with their hate boner towards Johnson over this dumb war, which again I've critiqued them for as well. But then they do that at the expense of ignoring all of the domestic successes that he had until it comes to benefit them. Then all of a sudden they don't have a problem with the evil welfare policies of President Johnson. But let's go over to a couple, because I'm going to put these in the chat. We're gonna play a little game, because I'm really sick of a lot of the lies that have been told about just any of these programs. So that article I just posted, that's from last year, and there's another one by the National Review which is from 5 years ago. We're gonna read both of them. We're not gonna read both of them, but we're gonna use some statistics. Because see, I actually know how to do research. Again, I'm not stupid. So we're gonna read pieces of both of them, and then I'm going to make my point after the fact. And remember, welfare is the reason why, according to him, Black children don't have dads. This is the reason. So we're going to first read the National Review one, and it says right here: preliminary data indicates that 40.7% of all 2012 births were out of wedlock, which is appalling. And there are vast differences among racial and ethnic groups. Among non-Hispanic Blacks, the figure is highest at 72.2%. For American Indians / Alaska Natives, it's 66.9%, 53.5% for Hispanics, 29.4% for non-Hispanic whites, and a mere 17.1% for Asians / Pacific Islanders. All right, 72% for Blacks, okay? But for non-Hispanic whites, it's 29%. We're going to keep those two numbers in our heads, okay, for the moment. Now, this one is from last year, the childtrends.org. So this isn't some random Joe Smo website, credited source here. And according to their statistic, the percent of births occurring to unmarried women has grown most rapidly among white and Hispanic women. In 1990, white children born of the wedlock were 15%. 2016, it was 28%. Black children in 1990 was 63%. 2016, it's up by 6 points. So it's gone up a little bit. But so the reason I included more than one is because we have a basic framework of what the numbers are. It's around 70% for Blacks and somewhere below 30% for whites. Now, I bring this up because, as you know, the majority of people who use welfare in the US are white. So what exactly about them is so unique as to have a majority of them on welfare, but a minority of them still having illegitimate children that are out of marriage? Is my point being lost, or people need me to repeat? I have no problem repeating it. Remember, his argument is that welfare is the reason why Black children are being born of the wedlock at 70%. But if more whites are on welfare than Blacks, and yet there's only 20+% of white children being born of the wedlock, there must be some external issue that we're not considering here, right? Does no one see the discrepancy besides me? Am I the only one who's visualizing this? Remember, welfare is the reason that Black children are being born of the wedlock at these large numbers. But then why is an ethnic group that is the majority being only 20-something% year after year, literally a third as much? No. CK, the point I'm making is, if more whites are on this program, but less of them, but literally a barely over a quarter of white children are born out of wedlock, then surely there's something besides welfare that is causing all of these black children to be born out of wedlock if the larger group is still managing somehow to only have over a quarter of itself be born out of wedlock, even though it's more of them are on there. Now, I would volunteer that it's possibly due to a criminal justice system that incarcerates blacks more times than it does whites. Uh, you know, you can have those kind of discussions when you're not trying to peddle some random position. You can have a person who says, now you know what? If welfare is like automatically causes people to abandon their families, right? And the larger ethnic group has only a third as much of its children being born out of wedlock, even though they're on there more. There must be something else causing this problem. It's like, well, we had the war on drugs. We have other things, but see, to acknowledge those things would mean to say, wait a second, then Johnson wasn't responsible for that because he didn't have that. Oh, it's somebody else's fault besides him as to why this got so terrible. And look, I no problem repeating myself. I'll say it one last time, and then I'll shut up about it for the rest of the stream. You can't tell me that welfare is the reason why black children are being born out of wedlock at 70%, when whites are more on welfare than any other ethnic group, and they account for the smallest number of out of wedlock births. How the hell does the largest group have the smallest out of wedlock births unless something else is a factor? That's why I said, like, brains, use them for just the split second. But no, that would mean going against my my little thing. And I told you, whenever you ask a libertarian or conservative, okay, what would you do? Because remember, the social safety nets, right, which started with Social Security under FDR, these began after the Great Depression, after having nothing in place to assist people in times of economic downturn. These pricks never can tell you what they would do themselves. What program would you implement? Nothing. They just look at what was intended to be a solution to the problem and say it's the problem. And then if you dare to make an argument in favor of, hey, maybe we can have a discussion about if this program, because I've admitted before there are people who misuse welfare, sure. But to suggest that if you just get rid of this, we're magically going to go back to having, I don't even know how many they think it would be, 20%, 30% of black children being born out of wedlock. It's just going to all skyrocket back down. It's ludicrous because those numbers do not account for making any type of sense with that idea. But again, at this point, I'll be accused of being, and this is really how stupid people are. I have this thing called empathy, right? That allows me to say, I'm not affected by this, but I can still get where it assists someone. The only federal, because I've been accused of, oh, you sound like one of those people who doesn't work for anything. The only federal assistance I've ever received or ever even tried to get was for financial aid for school. And that's because I asked this very seriously, who the hell has $30,000 that's not rich, 2 years out, and is 2 years out of high school to just give to some random school back to back for school years? Who has that? And guess what? Even if I was, and I didn't, so that's a terrific thing. But even if I was able to get all of that in financial aid, I still would have had to work to get the degree that you people claim is so important. So to advancing one's life and making things easier for oneself. Yeah. We're gonna have to do another college is a scam video. That'll be really fun. I find it, and this goes back to a thing I said, I was really, because I said I'm going to hold off on addressing this for a couple of days because I want to see if I'll still be pissed off by Saturday, and I am. And I also I've tried to put myself in the shoes of the people who, political science, CK, the shoes of the people who do certain things, right? So I said to myself, if I found out that some person that I really liked, or that I watched the content of, like the political figure that I didn't like, or had a high opinion of some political figure I didn't like, would that cause me to just so rapidly abandon them. And then I said, oh, wait a second. I've already been tested on that. You see, a couple of months ago, or maybe some weeks ago, who cares? Earlier in the year, they asked Sanders, what's on a scorecard, grade? What grade would you give Obama's presidency? And his exact words were, or something close to his words were, Obama was an A plus compared to Trump. Now, I don't agree with that sentiment at all. If I were to do a ranking, I would, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give Trump a 2 and Obama a 3. But guess what? That comment did not make me waver in my support for Sanders or go, oh my God, I'm so disgusted with him for saying this. Because I accepted that that was his position that he espoused at that particular moment, and it did nothing to eradicate the overall message of his campaign. But this is, and I find it so funny that this same person, right? The individual that I've described as going having a spurg out with 14 different comments. He explicitly stated his distaste for his growing disdain for Tulsi. Now, listen, I've said before, Sanders is my top candidate. She's probably a second. Tulsi has the most consistent anti-war record of any person running for president right now. It's just you can go by voting. You can go by strictly just any country can bring up. Her position has been to not screw with them. And so when I looked at his comment, I said, this is a person who just I realize what you are. You nitpick the hell out of any person or any individual that you claim to like, so you can find the problem with them, and then express your issues and get run away to your little hole after finding whatever little thing to get pissed off over. I now realize that. I mean, I wish I could play it right now. 15 straight minutes of this keyboard action, and I said, we're damned if we do, damned if we don't, because when I don't respond, you get pissed, say that you mistook me for who you thought I were, and then run away. If I do respond, you say, oh my God, you sound so stupid from the stuff you're responding with. I can't take you seriously anymore. I'm going. So when I don't respond, you leave. If I did respond by defending my position, you would have left anyway. So that's so commonly what happens on this website, where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I sat here with this romance stuff, right? I had a person who said the best way to approach this is to just accept the fact that there are people who like the romance stuff and let them get their rocks off, right? Do an upload a week, keeping them like a little thing of trying to pump something out here and there. And I said, okay, I'll try that. And I've said before that it's for some weird reason with the romance stuff, there's two schools of thought. And I've said also in the past, I had no problem when people would come on, even if they didn't watch my other stuff. I didn't have a problem when they would come on there and they would express not even a grievance. They would just say, man, I so relate to this because I had this one chick do blah, 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 blah. Because I don't see any capacity where that's hurting someone, where it appears to actually fulfill its purpose of an individual relating a story and then some other people saying how they feel. And yet imagine my surprise when I upload the last one I did, which was on, I believe it was Thursday, and I have an individual write out, I mean, what is that, like 3, 4, 2 paragraphs? And it's the antagonism. And see, I've said before, I tolerate disagreements. Sky Clank, for example, used to come around and say, "Oh man, you shouldn't get married and have children." I disagree with that wholeheartedly. That was one of the main things I want. That was after a while, the only thing that kept me even wanting to approach any broads. So I never got upset with him for writing that. I never said, "Hey, you better stop this," because he's another one of those people that when they hear a disagreement, they accept it and then they move on. They don't try to debate each other and get pissed off because someone doesn't think the exact way that they do. So, that was just something that I accepted about him. But when I put something up and someone directly tries to, and people, they like to play stupid. They like to pretend they don't know what they're doing. Like they're these innocent, darling angels who just happened to comment on a video and were met with such disdain and they didn't understand it. Now, in this comment, and I'm not going to read it for you because there's no point in that. I'm accused of spreading historical inaccuracies, and it's so hard because when I record these, right, I just think about the topic and just let whatever I say roll off the tongue, and then put it up, and then that's it. So for someone to sit there and try to tell me that you came on here with this agenda of trying to pretend that women now are more sexually loose than they were back then, it's like, well, that's because they are. I mean, we look at the fact that you've had. And I could go and read. Someone actually did respond to that person, but Boa made a comment where she said, "You notice how these people, they never comment on anything else, and the only time they comment is to try and accuse you of something." I had a guy do the same thing last year. He came over to my comment section, writing some trash about, you talk about self accountability, but do you account for your own failed attempts at getting romances? And I said, listen, boy, I don't care that you don't like my romantic views, because I really don't understand why another man would be upset or really concerned at all with the romance positions of another dude unless he's trying to date him. So I said you can bounce off, and I mean that wholeheartedly. See, I had one guy last year who sat in the stream with me for over an hour, arguing back and forth. Leaves a comment saying, "Oh, should I unsub and stop you from getting 2,300 subs?" It's like, dude, you're no person on here is so worthy as a sub that I am required to sit back and let them write whatever they want and try to antagonize me every day I put up a video. Like there's no one on here that is anywhere near worthy of that. And the thing with this guy from last week is that when you don't live in the real world, or you try to pretend like everyone must act the exact same way and have just a completely consistent philosophy, you're going to get screwed. That's why when I'm looking at this, I'm just thinking about this comment from last week. You're sitting here telling me basically that I can say every single thing correct in every video, but because I like a past president, which isn't uncommon. People like presidents. I mean, so we have President's Day. That's why they get millions of votes, no matter who they are. But this person can sit here and get pissed off over that, and then be surprised when I say, "Okay, you're not reasonable. You're really doing something ridiculous. I want nothing to do with you." And I said before, what other recourse do I have to take when there are literally millions of people on this website? It's not my job to click my heels for every single person that comes on here. Music Fiend, you don't like Obama? Well, I don't like Obama either. I would never do anything to upset you, Music Fiend. I'm your biggest fan, and I want you to watch my stuff. So I just want you to assist my content and rub a tub. I got to make sure that I always say whatever you want, because there's no such thing as dissenting opinions or having any actual philosophy of my own. I mean, that's crazy and unheard of. Just throw me that extra piece of chicken and I'll be completely fine. That's what they want you to do. They won't say it because, again, they play stupid, but that's pretty much exactly what they want. Let me do the same thing to CK. Oh, what's that, CK? You think climate change isn't real? Well, neither do I. Because I want you to come in and watch and sub no matter what. So I have to change my position because CK doesn't agree with it, and CK doesn't believe anyone can have a different opinion than him. Yeah. Now I want to go back to this intolerant left comment because it kind of pisses me off. You see, I guess I don't want to say beef, but every argument I have on YouTube it goes like this. I put up a video, some random person I've never seen before leaves a comment crying about it. And then more often than not, I don't respond. And then they write some more stuff, and then I just kind of roll my eyes. My point I'm making here is that I accepted a very long time ago that people have different opinions from me. That's why you can go and watch every video on Fox's channel, haven't commented on a single one of them. You can watch every video on Candace Owens' channel, haven't commented on a single one of them. You can watch clips of Mark Levin that people put up, haven't commented on a single one of them. You can go on Ben Shapiro's channel, haven't commented on any of his videos. I leave these people alone. I really say to myself, I say that with full sincerity. The only videos I ever comment on anymore, unless it's some progressive commentator, and usually I don't comment on there, so I just thumb it up and watch it, is my own stuff. I find it so funny that they'll, again, intolerant left, but the left person is leaving all these right wing people alone, while right wing people and also left wing people come after him across different forms of social media. I had two guys who were sub to me. They were sub for the romance stuff. They found out I was progressive. They were coming on my stuff trying to troll me, talking about Trump. That's what Trump is going to win. Trump is going to. It didn't even matter what the video was. Trump is going to win. Trump is going to win. Okay, well, I hope he can win you a way to comment on his page, because I'm done with you. Over and over again. But why is that the case? Where if again, I'm so intolerant of other people's positions, why the hell am I leaving all of these conservative people alone, and they're coming over to, like, they're coming to me? No one's bothering that. At least I'm not. Why is that the case? And like, I keep trying to explain this to people. When you don't mess with anyone on the website, and all the people on here seem to be able to do, and I said before, I'm thinking of just going completely AWOL with this interaction stuff, because I tried to make it a point to read people's comments, to try and like actually engage with them, because I like to. I consider my own little way of rewarding those that take the time to listen to what I have to say. But if it's going to be something like that Spurg out on Monday, I might as well just turn off because you can do that, the comment section during streams. Or if I really wanted to be nostalgic, I could go back to who I was, where I just uploaded stuff and there were no streams anymore ever. Like, I don't deserve to be antagonized on my own stuff simply for saying something that somebody else doesn't like, especially if I don't do it to anybody else. And all those little kids running around in the romance comment sections of stuff, those will be the first things to get their comment sections disabled. Because, like I said, all you people do is write stuff attempting to insult me, and the only one of you that's had the balls to actually turn on the camera and record anything, whether you're a supporter of mine or a detractor of mine, is VVS, who still won't show his face. Not that I blame him, because he saw all the nasty stuff they wrote about how I looked. He's the only person out of I don't even know how many that have written stuff to me that positive or negative, that said, you know what, I'm going to try this out for a size and actually go at it in some voice type way. Because I said before, I'm limiting the number of things I write to people, because I look at it like this. If I can sit here and talk about something for 30, 40, 50 minutes, and you write some comment where you completely cut out a big part of what I said, it's not worthy of my response. Not of me sitting there and typing it. Now it's easier to just sit here and recall a little bit of what you said and then say it afterward. But that's a whole different effort. I think you would agree. Most people would consent to this. It takes more effort to type something out than to write it. You're not worth the effort of me addressing you via written format. Is basically what I'm saying. And they've proven themselves to be that way. Who the hell sits through a 50-minute video and then accuses the person of I had a video from about a month ago. It was called The Fallacy of Nothing Matters. And I was talking about these people who, they'll tell you that nothing matters, but then they'll go to work. They'll tell you that nothing matters, but then they'll buy some person that they like or love some gift. And I was simply saying that, I don't understand how you claim all of this stuff doesn't have any kind of significance to you whatsoever, but then you participate in it. I say that, I don't think sports matter. And guess what? You've never seen me put up a single video ever talking about sports. I've been very consistent when I think something doesn't matter, I don't even entertain the thought of looking into it or investigating it, because I try to practice what I preach. I had a guy come on that video and talk about your again, I just sit here and I recall a guy who I knew who was like that, what they said didn't make sense to me, right? That's all I did. Guy comes on here talking about you are purposely leaving out I don't even know what it was, X, because you're trying to straw man your argument. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, you nut? I'm just describing what I think of a philosophy that, as it's being executed by this person, doesn't make sense or doesn't go along with his actions. I didn't ignore anything. I specifically quoted the person I was talking about. But this goes back to what I was saying, where it seems like the only people who occupy the comment section are trolls. Like, why even let people be able to write anything if and here we go, because I know this is the next smear. Oh, you're upset because people don't comment on your videos every day. It's like, no. When I like a channel and I don't have time to watch them every day, after the week is over, I take all of their videos and put them in a little not a actual playlist, but I go on the channel, go to the video section. Thing says 1 week ago, and I play from the oldest one to the newest one. I just binge it. It's not hard to do that. It's very simple to do that, actually. A lot of times you can do something in the background while you're watching it. So the idea that I'm demanding that you watch this stuff all as it's coming out is ludicrous. Well, CK, I don't dispute the value of sports to other people. I'm treating sports the same way a lot of people treat the stuff I like. So if you can tell me political stuff doesn't matter, then whatever you like doesn't matter. That's how I feel about it. Now, but again, notice I don't come over and I don't go, CK, how could you like sports? Let me write 18 different comments. Because it doesn't bother me. Variety's the spice of life. You will never see me type out any series of paragraphs in anybody's stream ever. Not even my own. Because there is nothing anyone on this website is saying that remotely requires me to do that. But yeah, let me also discuss the fact that it's such a hassle to be on here, man. I mean, like, I want you to think about this. You make a pledge to yourself that you're going to put up stuff as often as you can. You make a schedule. I say I'm going to stream twice on Saturday. I'm going to stream on Sunday, and on Monday, then I'll just upload some stuff from Tuesday to Friday. You have to get up at times you don't feel like it. You have to make sure that there's nothing in your background stopping people from being able to hear you. You have to type your titles in a certain way because YouTube demonetizes me every single video. You got to put up with some random prick online trying to describe what you said in a way that isn't even remotely accurate to what was actually stated in the video. And if they do respond to something accurately, they ignore the other 80% of it. They pick out a little piece and cry about that for a while. Like I want you to really like sometimes I just sit here and I watch all the stuff that's being written. It's like, for what? Okay, again, Music Fiend. No one is contesting whether you like those things or not. And I said before, you can say it matters, and I won't have an issue with it. Again, I'm not angry that someone is of a different position than I am on something like that. Because if you put in a certain word in the title, they have a problem with it. The words like Shrek and Dick Cheney in the title get you demonetized instantly. Well, Music Fan, I told you about the person I used to watch where he would keep saying politics doesn't matter, but then he would cite all of these different political events. Like he would find a way to give an example of something, like make something from, like World War II have to do with whatever he was talking. And I was like, what the hell? But let's go down the contradictory list really quickly before we wrap this up, because I know that people, they don't really they don't like to pay much attention to stuff I say unless I repeat it over and over. So you've got a guy who on Monday snaps and goes crazy because he finds I like a past U.S. president, to the point where he types out 14 different comments, puts in some slick disses by saying only people who are uninformed would like that person, claims that his welfare policies destroyed the U.S., even or destroyed the black community, even though, again, most people on welfare are whites, and only a fourth of them are having children out of wedlock. I'm not saying any of these people's names, Music Fiend. That's my policy. Claims that all of those welfare ideas were bad, and yet we can assume we'll probably be on Medicaid at some point because that's how these people do. Like, I don't get why people look to have a problem with someone over something. Oh, it was Johnson, Music Fiend, so LBJ. But like, I had a libertarian person I used to speak to on Twitter, and we would sit here and agree on all this anti-war stuff. And right in the middle of complimenting me, she out of nowhere brings up our disagreement on healthcare. Which, because I support single payer. She starts talking about big pharma reforms, and I'm like, we just had an enjoyable, productive discussion where no one was pissed off. No one was trying to put the other person down because they viewed something differently. Why do you have to ruin it? But that's what I'm saying. People look for stuff to get pissed at. That's why when I said he doesn't have any videos about Ernest Gruning or Wayne Morris, those are guys who voted the right way on something that he supposedly cares so much about, but he talks almost next to nothing about them. Probably knows next to nothing about them as well. But he'll sit here with his Johnson hate boner, which I could not care less about because it doesn't affect my position. It's just kind of disturbing that you're so pissed off because a random dude on YouTube likes that particular person. You know how many people I would have to sit in the comment section of if I went through all the people that endorsed Obama or liked him or said at one point they liked him? Again, it's not worth my time because like, I have nothing to gain from doing that. That's why I don't usually write anything back in my comment section to these people when they come and they write this crazy stuff, because I have better things to do than talk to someone who's just trying to piss me off. So I let them talk to themselves. Probably make Boa a mod. She can go through and get rid of their stuff for them. That'll be a nice little task for her to do. And I we're down to our last three, and that's all good. I just want to wrap this up by saying I'll try to do a stream tonight, 6 p.m. like I usually do on Saturday. Expect me to be more subdued because I'm really like getting sick of this online stuff. I shouldn't have only 10, 20 people view a video and then there's a troll, and then like everybody else who saw it they can't even click the like button. How hard is that to click a button? Look, people don't want to donate, whatever, but all you got to do is click a button, or you can type a comment. You can say, I like this video. Like, as simple as that. But that's so hard for people for some reason. And it truly befuddles me. Like, I'll sit there, scratch my, like, these people really had a hard time doing that? Seriously? Really? Hey, that's how they roll. You can't even click the like button. Looks at unclicked. Yeah. Again, I expect that. This is why I said that, when I look at the comments that are written to me, it makes so much sense that a lot of them lack critical thinking skills, because if people can't even do something as simple as, and remember, these are made by a person you like. I get if it's someone that you claim to hate, you don't go over there and support this stuff. But I mean, it's like, if you can't even do that, like, why are you here? It's, I really don't feel like I'm asking for much. And there's a guy who actually last year, just to wrap this up, because I know I'm going into the hour-long thing. There was a guy who last year, after the video was called, me complaining about having 2,000 subs, wrote something to the effect, and I complained because, I wasn't getting views that aligned with the sub count. He said something to the effect of, you complain about everything, no wonder you can't get a woman, or some trash. And I didn't respond to his comment by writing, but I said to myself, little boy, the whole point of anyone putting up any video on YouTube is to get views. You wouldn't put it on a public platform where people can type it in and find it if you didn't want people to see it. So you telling me that I am like not being right to complain about something like that is literally saying I am upset that people are not performing the basic functions of this website. That, like, how that's so wrong. Every video that's put on here was put here so somebody could see it. And this guy's like, "Oh my God, how could you complain about that?" But that's why I said, I'm like, it's just a bunch of knuckleheads on here. And I try to speak to these people like they're rational. I try to, when I talk, like I said, I just gave you that thing about a majority of those on welfare being whites, and somehow they only have a fourth of their children being born out of wedlock, whereas blacks have going into the three-fourths. You can go and look at those articles yourself. I give you proof of what I'm saying. This stuff is substantiated by fact. And it's not just one place saying it, it's multiple places citing the exact same information or pretty close to it. So one place had it at 69, 72. It's in the margin of error. You get the point. And I do that because I try to, when I speak, sound as if I know what I'm talking about. But those kind of positions aren't appreciated. And I guess the way I look at it is, if I can only have 3 people watch a stream, I sure as hell shouldn't have 8 or 9 of them leaving stupid comments over the course of the next 2 weeks. And I don't get what is wanted of a content creator. Like, you want them to bootlick and juck and jive for you and support every position that you have. But at the same token, you want them to not get pissed when you decide right after that, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm not going to watch your stuff anymore because you said this one thing I don't like." You're trying to have your cake and eat it too. So I said, this platform is I do this for fun. I don't need this. I don't need any of the people that come on here. I've expressed appreciation at those that watch and that try to actually speak about something in a sophisticated manner, or at least attempt to sound like they want to hear something. But at the end of the day, I could easily leave this tomorrow if I wanted to, and I'd be more encouraged to that now than ever, because this is ridiculous. Like, sometimes I feel like when I log onto my account and I look at my comment section and I see the stuff these people write, it's like going to a circus, like a virtual circus, where I'm walking in here, my regular getup, and everyone has their little clown nose and multicolored hair and white skin, and like not I'm talking about the Joker attire, basically. Like, that's what I see when I look at some of the comments that are written and some of the ways people behave. If I went on anyone's page and wrote 15 comments to them as they were saying they're not going to debate me about this, you would think I was a crazy person. You would say there's something wrong with that man. Why is he harassing the other one like that? If I went into your comment section, I wrote about whoever, and I said, "How do you feel about your great insert name here?" You would say that's a dude trying to screw with somebody. I don't bother anybody on this damn website. I'm like you. I've turned my YouTube career, if you can call it that, into North Korea. I put up a video, and with the exception of sometimes hearting a comment that somebody writes, I get off this damn thing. Because it does nothing for me to talk to people that ridiculous. But I know a lot of you enjoy it. So for those of you that act like you have some common sense, that don't try to flame me in a comment section because I said one thing you didn't like, I appreciate it. A lot of people like to accuse me of speaking as if condemning the entire group of people who post on. I said, no, there's exceptions to the rule. For those that do that weird stuff, I mean, they just encourage me to not bother with any of these things. And I know I can already see a comment from someone, "Well, if you don't like it, why do you do?" They will so comically miss the point of the entire stream. But like I said, I'm gonna probably make somebody else a mod, and their comment's gonna disappear like Thanos snapped his fingers. So it'll all be good. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you later today when I do the other stream.